If there's one thing I've learned, it's that no matter how many speakers you have, your room is lying to you. Even if you spent real money on great monitors, the walls, the ceiling, even speaker placement are all going to mess with what you think you're hearing coming out of Logic Pro. ArcX Immersive is the latest version of IK Multimedia speaker calibration system, and it measures how the room is influencing what you hear out of your monitors, and it corrects the monitors so that what you're hearing is much closer to the truth. Now, this isn't a must-have for every Logic Pro user. I mean, if it were up to me, it would be, but ArcX Immersive is for those who are ready to invest in their monitoring chain, whether that's with a pair of iLoud speakers or with the Arc Studio box that sits between your interface and your existing speaker setup. The point is whether you're working in stereo or building out a full multi-speaker or immersive setup, ArcX Immersive could be the unlock that your monitoring chain needs so that you can actually trust what you're mixing and producing. Now, if you're a longtime viewer, you probably have noticed I've been talking about IK speakers and the ARC system a lot. And that's because it's what I use in my own room. I love them, and obviously it's built into the title, ArcX Immersive, but the bigger story here is not that you need to get into Atmos and buy a million speakers, but instead at these price points, there's just nothing else on the market that provides this level of calibration, from tonal adjustments based on what your room is doing, to level management of the different speakers, to phase aligning, time aligning, and whether you have 2 speakers or 16, it's taken care of for you with the ArcX system. Before we get into ArcX though, let's talk about the reality that most of us are living in, which is working on a pair of speakers or in headphones in a less than perfect room. Even without any extra hardware, there are a couple of habits that every Logic Pro user should have in place. Number 1, comparing your mixes against other level matched reference tracks. Number 2, metering for loudness, spectral, and dynamic balance of your productions. And number 3, listening to your mixes on other playback systems. In Logic, I recommend that you set up a submix channel, that all the channels in your project are summed to. Think of it like the stereo output before the actual stereo output. This way, any EQ or compression or limiting that you put on your mix isn't touching the reference tracks in your project, so that you can compare your mix against your reference at equal level and equal footing. With the references muted, I can then solo and unsolo to flip between my mix and the references, which allows me to compensate for what I'm dealing with when it comes to the speakers inside my room or in a pair of headphones. If you're already doing this and you still feel like you're chasing your tail when it comes to getting a mix to the finish line, whether it be in headphones or speakers in your room, this is where ArcX really starts to make sense. ArcX is the included app for calibrating your iLoud speakers or Arc Studio box if you're working with speakers from another manufacturer. And it's important to note that ArcX is not a system-wide app that runs in the background on your Mac. It walks you through the process of calibrating your speakers to your space, and then it stores the calibration profiles inside the hardware. So there's no plugin you have to load into your projects. You don't have to remember to bypass the plugin when you bounce the project. It's just the way your speakers sound now for your room. And it's perfectly tuned for the environment that you're working in. If you're one of the folks getting into a multi-channel setup like quadraphonic or 5.1, or getting into immersive audio with a 514, 714, or 916 speaker setup, this is where ArcX Immersive really earns its name. Because here's the thing, trying to ensure equal distance from every speaker to the listening position, to managing the levels of all the speakers in the setup, to the tonality, especially if you're on a budget and you can't splurge on full range monitors for the whole room, it's a nightmare. And that's what ArcX Immersive solves. Its job is to ensure your center speaker, your heights, your surrounds, your sub are all working together as one and not some phasey, crazy mess. And also for those of us who maybe are only working in stereo and you're about to click away, I want to point out with this latest update of ArcX, these adjustments for time, phase, level, and tonality are now available for stereo setups too. The key change here is ArcX Immersive automatically figures out those time, level, and phase offsets for you. In previous versions of ArcX, there are parameters for time aligning and for level managing on a per speaker basis that you can store in the speakers, but it requires you, the user, to have to figure it out. How much of a difference is there between the left and right speaker, or the height speakers as compared to the rear speakers? But now ArcX measures, calibrates, and stores these micro adjustments that are so crucial into the hardware. Just like with stereo setups, to calibrate your multi-channel system using ArcX Immersive, you first choose your layout, from quadraphonic all the way up to 916. You assign your audio device, and then assign each speaker that's connected via USB to the corresponding output of your audio device. And from there, you just follow the on-screen calibration instructions for connecting the microphone, setting levels, and microphone placement. ArcX runs the calibration process by playing test tones through every single speaker in the multi-channel setup. So it is going to take a little while, especially if you choose one of the more comprehensive measurement options in ArcX. Regardless, IK has made this an effortless process, and the results are so rewarding. It's really hard to overstate how important these little details are when it comes to a monitoring setup, especially if you're not in a perfect mix room or a Dolby certified space. Quick caveat on the practical side of ArcX Immersive. For every iLoud speaker in your setup or Arc Studio box that you intend to calibrate, you have to connect that device via USB to your Mac. So for a stereo setup, not a big deal, right? 2 speakers, 2 USB cables, fine. But with a multi-channel setup of 12 or 16 speakers, you're going to need 12 or 16 USB ports. And I don't know of any Mac that has 12 or 16 ports. That's going to necessitate USB hubs. It's just a fact of the matter. You're going to get into some cable craziness on calibration day. But I'm going to say a set of iLoud speakers and a couple of USB hubs are way cheaper than any turn-off system. So once you get the calibration process done, no biggie. You can unplug everything. Again, the calibration profile for tonality, for level management, phase, time alignment is stored on a per speaker basis. So you're good to go. The only reason you may want to continue having all of your speakers connected to your Mac is that there are some niceties with the ArcX software, like remote control of the entire system. Being able to solo or mute individual speakers or sets of speakers, or being able to adapt the voicing of the entire system to sound like other speakers. It's up to you. In that case, if you want to take advantage of ArcX for the remote control capabilities, you're going to want to have all 12 or 16 speakers connected simultaneously, and, something you'll have to figure out logistically. Most Logic users are working on just a pair of headphones or on stereo speakers. And to be clear, you can get so far with no extra hardware and just good habits. IK's speaker lineup plus ArcX Immersive is for those of us who are tired of chasing our tail and are ready to stop fighting the room and just hear what's going on in their projects accurately. It adjusts the tone, level matches, time aligns, and corrects for phase of every speaker in your setup. And this is going to be especially important as you go beyond stereo.